Alright, so I was just live for people who didn't see before. It was like being very weird, so I just restarted it. It looks better now. Hopefully it stays like that. The viewership is already higher than it was when I was streaming for like 10 minutes, so there definitely was an issue. But yeah, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All I really talked about when I was live earlier was Bitcoin, which is very neutral. I mean, 4 hour, it's at the domain line of a triangle that we talked about last night on stream. On the daily, it's in the middle of a range. Not really much to talk about on Bitcoin, unfortunately. So we're just going to kind of skip right over that one tonight. I wish there was more to talk about, but there's not always variables on the chart. Sometimes it's just kind of choppiness. So moving forward into the stock market, futures are slightly red, relatively just flat. And one point that I was getting to in the earlier stream 5 minutes ago was speculation money is leaving the market. It's pretty similar to what we were seeing in February. If you take a look at the ARK ETF, back in the middle of February, a lot of speculation stocks like EVs and pot stocks and SPACs dumped. They dumped for about a whole entire month. They chopped around for a little bit and then they fell pretty harshly again in the beginning of May. And then around May 12th is when a lot of those growth speculation stocks started pushing up, and they had a very, very big move all of really the second half of May into the first half of June. And the ARK went up 34% in 50 days, which is a huge move for the ETF. And now what we've seen ever since July started, the last 4 days, is 4 consecutive red days. And it's frustrating for a lot of retail traders like myself. And of course I do trade large caps. I especially trade options on large caps, but a lot of the swing trades I do are like mid-cap stocks, and a lot of mid-caps for really this whole entire month so far have just not been doing well. EVs have been losing a lot of their gains from June. Pot stocks have been losing a lot of their gains. SPACs got wrecked today. It's just not a fun time for a lot of retail traders. So it's this weird situation where we've already seen the pullback start in the speculation stocks, the pre-revenue stocks or the low revenue stocks. We've already seen that pullback start for the last 4 days. It's been pretty brutal. It's been horrible for the swings in the last 4 days, probably the worst 4 days since the beginning of May, which was like right over here. So it's been really rough for a lot of the swings. And the big question I have and why I'm so confused is because these stocks are already pulling back, but they obviously can pull back much longer. We saw them pull back pretty much from February to the beginning of May. So they're already pulling back, but the question is how long will these things pull back for? And then on the flip side, tech stocks and large caps are running very, very nicely. But the question there is, until when, right? You're starting to see most of the large cap tech names getting overbought on the 4 hour, some of them even on the daily. And historically, every single time most of those stocks have been overbought on the RSI, they still have a pullback, not a dump every single time they're overbought, but just like a little bit of a pullback. So I'm not even gonna say it, but when we get an eventual pullback in tech stocks, and I don't know when exactly that'll be a little bit interesting. Where will the value be? Because even energy stocks are not doing too well this week. Semis are not doing too well this week. It's kind of weird. Today the S&P was up 1/3%. The NASDAQ was flat. But on the flip side, the ARK ETF was down 2%. The SPAC ETF was down 2%. The US 10-year yield was down 1%. And the Russell was down 1%. Pretty confusing conditions right now. The easiest way to look at it is we're just getting rotation from more speculative stocks into more, I don't know if I want to say safer, but into more popular blue chip type of stocks like Amazon and Nvidia and Facebook and Google and Apple and those types of names, FANG stocks. So that's really where we are in the market right now. It's a little bit weird. It is. And seeing the US 10-year drop as much as it has been also very strange. Did it break that? It broke the 2016 low. So it's not an easy time to get a good read on the market going into the rest of the month. That's why I really haven't put out that many new swings in the past. I think I've only put out 1 or 2 new swings this month. Maybe a little bit more, but really for the last couple of weeks I've already been kind of toning it back, and the trades that I did put out, a lot of them are not doing too well in the past 4 days. So it's interesting. That's really, we're going to see what this all turns into until I get a more clear probability for either the whole market or just a particular sector, I'm just kind of not really looking for many new swing trades because it's pretty hard to find them right now. I'm just really focusing on the day to day. You know, each day is a new day. I look at what the action is and I just look for day trades. Like, yeah, the swings haven't been doing well, but yesterday we got 45% profits on Microsoft puts. Today, well, I also alerted Clover calls yesterday afternoon to premium members, and then today at the open, those calls were up 35%, so it was pretty much like an overnight profit. And those were really the only two really good trades this week. I mean, we also had an Apple trade that hit a second target, but that was from like, I think over a month ago. So that's really it. You know, we're gonna see what all this turns into. Until it looks more clear to me, I'm just kind of hands off. But I'm definitely, you know, going to try and look at a bunch of charts tonight, which I'm about to do, and we'll see if we can't find any value, because there always will be some sort of value. We saw NEGG go insane today. There's probably not much technical analysis I can do on this, but it went wild today. Really in the past few days, ever since this month started. I mean, if we look at the monthly candle on NEGG, it's up 250% this month, and it was up even higher. So, you know, there is value in places, or just FOMO, I guess, but, you know, we are seeing action. There always is going to be, even on the worst, even during the COVID crash when, you know, the market dropped the fastest that it ever did in a short period of time, there were still things that were running. There always will be. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's talk about Clover, AMC, and Wish now. After we talk about those three, I'll go over, like, there's only like 2 ongoing trades left from the swings. And then after that, we'll do ticker requests for the rest of the stream. So let's talk about, probably talk about Clover first. But yeah, now we got 40 people in here. That's awesome. I streamed before and we had like 15 people in here because it was being super laggy. So make sure to hit that like button. Let's get to 20 likes right now. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, thank you. We got 40 people in here, and it's been a terrible 4 days for retail stocks. Usually, or especially back in like March and April, that like killed my viewership. So to see 40 people in here right now, that's amazing, because it's definitely tougher to stream when there's just a lack of interest in the things that I'm talking about. But seeing 40 people in here is definitely motivating. Really appreciate that. Makes me feel great that people are showing up no matter what the market looks like, because that's what a trader does, right? You just have to show up every single day and see what you get. So yeah, let me take a look at the chat for a second here. Then we're going to talk about Clover, AMC, and Wish. Just give me a few minutes to settle in. Haven't looked at the chat like at all. We had the Fed minutes today. Didn't really move the markets too much. We had the notes come out. Let's see. Chatter Free says they expect the pace of asset purchases to decline in the first quarter of 2022. The word everybody's using on CNBC is tapering. What else we got? I want to see if I missed anything in the chat. We're about to talk about Clover in a second. Brent says markets are adjusting to higher interest rates in the future. Inflation is with us already, but the Fed is fudging the numbers, hoping things normalize. We'll look into, you know, individual tickers in about 15 minutes. I just got to talk about a few stocks like Clover, AMC, and Wish, and then we're going to do ticker requests in like 15 minutes. So don't drop any tickers in the chat for right now. What else? What's up? So yeah, what's up to everybody in the chat? Welcome to the stream. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, literally, I want to talk about Clover in 1 minute. This is the last thing I need to bring up. I really don't ever do this. You know, the only times I ever talk about premium on stream are when I'm like referring to trades. Like if we had a good trade one day, I just share like the idea of it, mainly for education, so you can see what I'm doing. So the only really things I talk about premium on stream are just the trades that we take after they play out or fail. But today is like the only time I'm going to do it. I mean, I probably will a couple times in the future, but the only reason I'm bringing it up today is because there's a sale for only 24 hours. So people always ask me, especially people who might be, you know, not doing as well financially, always ask me, you know, is there any way the price can drop a little bit on the premium? And decided, you know, it's been a couple rough days for the market. It's a new month. It's in the middle of summer, right after July 4th. Decided to do a 24-hour sale. So this is probably the second sale I've done in like 4 months. I don't really do sales on it. I think I've done like one before, like right in the beginning. So there is a 24-hour sale if you want to sign for premium. $5 off the monthly and then $10 off the annual. The annual is already a 10% discount compared to monthly. You get an additional $10 off on top of that. just wanted to bring it up in case anybody's been thinking about it for a while. This is your opportunity for all the people who have asked me. 24 hours. Tomorrow when the market closes, I'll be cutting the deal. It's probably not going to come back for a while. Just wanted to bring it up. It's the first link in the description. And for people who don't know what premium is, it is just mainly me sharing a lot of charts that I'm looking at intraday for swings. It's really, you know, I never tell you what to do. That's always your own decision. I just share what I'm looking at, what I think has a decent probability, how I manage my risk. I share these types of boxes that show potential entry targets and stops. Again, it's always up to you. I also share options ideas like Microsoft, we made 45% profit yesterday, Clover 35% profit today. It's just like an extended way to get more of my thoughts on Discord, if that makes sense. So yeah, first link in the description. If you want the sale, you got 24 hours or less than that now. Now I'm going to talk about charts for the rest of the stream, and let's get into Clover first. Clover dropped again today. This was a failed swing trade from last week. Just didn't work out. We had lockup expiration on yesterday, and yesterday was a horrible day. It was down 15% yesterday. And then this morning, it actually gapped up in the morning. So yesterday it closed right at $10. And then today Clover opened at about $10.50. So it gapped up like 5%. And then immediately, boom, right back down. I mean, for the past like 3 or 4 opens, like we've just had a horrible first hour for the day on Clover. Same thing happened today. Yesterday though, when it was at $10, there was some classic bullish divergence on the 30-minute, as you can see over here. Some classic bullish divergence there. It was also, you know, it had like 3 different tests of that $10 support and it held it. So then yesterday afternoon, I shared an options idea with premium members for Clover calls. And then today when it gapped up in the morning, the calls are up 35%. I did send a message in the morning as well saying, you know, you probably want to take profits on these. They are weekly calls and you don't want to get the theta crush. So yeah, they were up 35% right away, and then it just started dropping. And then just dropped the rest of the day. Let's talk about the current technicals on Clover. Not much to talk about. I mean, really all I can talk about is low time frames. You did have a 30-minute bullish pin bar to close off the day. On the 1 hour, your MACD did cross over to green. You actually also have a 1 hour bullish pin bar. So a little bit there. Maybe like an intraday double bottom at like $9.62. And then it was up like 3% after hours or 2.5% after hours. It actually closed after hours like $9.95, or like, it depends on the exchange you look at. But tomorrow, if Clover can get above 10 and hold above 10, there certainly is room to the upside. Okay, if we just take a look at Clover, it has gone down for 5 days in a row now, and it has dropped 31% in 5 days. That's a very quick, extensive move. This thing is being shorted heavily. It still has a lot of potential in terms of how much it's dropped and how much it's being shorted. But the only issue is the volume is very low. There's not really any high time frame technicals to be talking about. It did close under $10 today. It could be looked at in both ways. You know, I'm just trying to talk about all the variables. We'll see what happens tomorrow. You definitely just want to get above 10 and hold above 10. That's like the main thing you'd be looking for tomorrow on Clover. Now let's move on to AMC. It's been rolling over. It ended up closing under that $51 level that I talked about. You know, 51 was the most important level to me on AMC. It was the support ever since June 14th. It did not close any candle below 51 until yesterday. Yesterday, it closed that candle under 51, and then today you got follow through price action after the break of support. It was down 10%. I don't know if there was any news. There might have been, but there was a very clear break to the downside yesterday. From a short-term perspective, you know, AMC did just drop 30% in about 20 days. So could it have a dead cat bounce? Anything that drops like that, of course it can. I don't know if it will, but your MACD needs to start waning again on the 4 hour for AMC. So you can, I think eventually this hidden bullish divergence will confirm. All it needs to do is make a higher low than like $12, which in my opinion, it probably will at some point. The only question is, will it happen right here? Or will it happen right here, which could be like a potential harmonic down there? But you definitely have this type of movement on AMC already, right? You already have an X, A, B, C. The only question is, are you going to get a deep retrace on D, or is it just going to pivot again? Time will tell. You know, that's really the easiest way to put it. But in terms of horizontal levels, 51 is your resistance. You have a minor support down at $40. This is a psychological level, also the low from June 10th. But after that, like the bigger support I would say is 36. There's your candle high on May 28th. There was your candle low on June 2nd. Anything else? Oh my gosh, 36 is a huge level. It was your previous all-time highs like twice, in 2015 and 2016. So 36 is probably the biggest support I see on this chart. If it breaks 36, then there's not a lot between 36 and 21. So definitely need to hold 36. But again, we'll see what happens. I didn't even look at it after hours, so I don't even know what happened there. And then finally, Wish, down 8% today, just completely invalidated this potential bullish cipher. I mean, it did bounce like 10% at the PCZ, didn't get to any like textbook targets. Actually did get to the B point, believe it or not. But that, you know, again, it was a 1 hour harmonic. There still was the daily hidden bearish divergence that I've been talking about for exactly a week now. But yeah, exactly a week ago, last Wednesday, which let me look up the exact date. Last Wednesday was the 30th. So right over here on Wish, this was the day. You can look at my stream from June 30th. I don't know, I'm stuttering right now, but you can look at that stream. I said there were bearish technicals on Wish when it was at 13 bucks. I talked about the daily hidden bearish divergence. I talked about the 4 hour hidden bearish divergence, and it pulled back pretty harsh. I thought it could have seen a bigger bounce at that 11 area, to be honest, and then just kind of broke it today. But again, it's kind of like a sector-wide thing for a lot of these stocks. Most of the speculation stocks are just getting hit. It's not really like a super technical thing. It's just kind of like a sector-wide thing, you know? So that's just what we're seeing right now. In terms of Wish, I mean, that inverse head and shoulders idea is getting a little bit out of pocket right now. I guess it could still be looked at that, but again, head and shoulders of any sort is not confirmed until you break a neckline, and it is very, very far from breaking 15, which would be the neckline of this. I don't even know if I want to say potential pattern anymore, but maybe it will at one point. Hidden bullish divergence is not yet possible. And that's really it for Wish. I mean, 11, you probably want to get back above 11. It was your low from May 11th. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, futures still pretty flat. Bitcoin's at 33.3K, just pulled back like $1,000 in the last couple of hours. There's literally only like 2 ongoing trades I need to go over, which is ALLO and then PSTH. I don't like how ALLO closed back under 25. I've been talking about it every night on stream. You want this to close above $25. That's a very important historical support from multiple times in the past. It broke it today again. The technicals are just getting overweighed by the vast, I'm not going to say fear, but the money's just pulling out of speculation names of small caps and mid caps. The Russell was down today. The ARK ETF was down today. It's just like a sector-wide thing, and it's, you know, not good for a lot of the swings. We did have a really good May and June, but July's not been off to a good start, you know, and I'm never one who hides from that. I always bring it up. I always talk about it. It's just the truth, you know. Things are not always going to be amazing like it was in May and June. There's going to be times where it's just things sell off, but the money right now is just in those large cap tech stocks. We'll see how long that lasts. And then finally, PSTH, did it break the level we've been talking about? It did break that 22 level just by like 15 cents. You definitely want to get back above that. It was a low from over here, and then you broke it. So you want to get back above that. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's mainly the recap of the day. We're going to take requests. Not yet. Don't drop tickers in the chat just yet. Still need to just chill out for a little bit. We're 3 likes away from 30 likes. So hit that like button. Let's get to 30 likes right now. Hit that subscribe button. Fisker also, again, you know, another type of speculation stock. This is not a company making any major revenue for right now. They do not have a product available to the public just yet. Sector-wide thing, it's, you know, it's pulling back. This is what's been happening for a lot of EVs and pot stocks and retail meme stocks and all those types of things this whole entire month so far. So yeah, Fisker, it broke under the 1737 support. Maybe a minor support right over here at 1650. It was like a candle high over here, and then it was a candle low over here, and it was your low today. Like if I just chart, you could see that probably clearer. High over here, low over here, and then low today. But probably the most important area for Fisker is the 200-day moving average, which is like 1587-ish. You just want to hold that. From a swing trader's perspective, it's not really at the exact area where I look for the highest probability setups. Could it go up? Sure. But I prefer it, you know, when it's higher probability to me, like it was back in the beginning of May when I put out the recent alert, which ended up going very, very well. So yeah, let me take a look at the chat for a second now. Yeah, Zach says, these are the best times to learn to find entries. Exactly. You know, quick story. I mean, I've talked about this many times on stream, but back in like May 12th, May 13th, May 14th, when speculation money was like at all-time 52-week lows, like literally the ARK was at the lowest level in months, and EVs and pot stocks and all those things were just getting crushed. Like Fisker was at 10. I'm sure Clover was under $8 or whatever. CCIV was probably under like 20. It was horrible. You know, back over here, I'm sure everybody remembers the beginning of May, just like a lot of people remember the middle of February. It was very, very rough. It crushed like all the swing trades that week. But it was the streams I did that week that were insane, because we were like literally at the lowest levels. There was literally only like 10 people watching the streams. I was basically talking to myself saying, oh my gosh, all of these charts look super bullish. They all have huge harmonic patterns with triple classic bullish divergence at historical supports. Wow. I'm going to start putting out a bunch of swing trades. And then what happened? I could probably bring it up right now. You know, pain brings opportunity. That's one thing I always think about, and that's what happened, and that's what could be happening again. The only question is, how long will the pain last for a lot of these types of stocks? You know, that's the biggest question. And then eventually I put out a bunch of swing trades right over here, and then again we had that huge rally, and then we saw weeks like this. Yep, you know, this looks very, very different than the current week on the weekly sheet, but we saw insane gains. Like literally, like what even is this? This is probably the best week ever on the sheet, and this was probably in the middle of May. And then obviously you can see there's a difference now, right? This week is meh. It's not horrible, but it's not good. So, you know, but what happened before this, that was another really good week. Let me see if I could find it. Okay, stop. Where was it? Here. Like what happened before all that happened? We had so many things go wrong before we had a huge like 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, right? So these are the times where you can find opportunity, because then eventually the insane gains can turn back into pain, because that's the market, right? Stocks don't go up forever. Stocks don't go down forever, at least most of them. Cough, cough, Nikola, but actually Nikola's went back up in June. So, you know, it's all about finding opportunity at the right time. Even over here, I was super bullish on the ARK ETF. I talked about it on the stream. It had a bullish crab. Boom, look at that. It was the 1618 from X to D. All of this on the ARK ETF started from a bullish crab. And I'm not just saying this in hindsight. I literally charted this on May 13th. And I shared it in the Discord. I talked about it on stream. And that's where this whole entire rally for all the retail stocks and the speculation stocks, even a lot of tech stocks, that's right where it started. So we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts. That's pretty much the recap from today. Thank you for the 30 likes. Thank you for the 42 people in the stream right now. We're going to do take requests in a couple minutes. Let me read the chat again, drink some tea, and we'll get to it in a few minutes. People talking about NEGG in the chat. The dollar continuing higher while the yields are dropping lower. Barosan says, your alert helped me to sell the option right at the open. Yeah, on Clover, it wasn't really even for technicals that I said you probably want to take profits. I was just saying like there were weekly options, and I already knew they were going to be up a very nice amount at the open. So you don't want to risk it. You'd rather just take your profits playing weekly options when you get them than risk, you know, 2 hours later the price dropping and the options just getting destroyed because they're 10 cents under the strike price with a day until the expiration, right? So like with me, when I play weekly options, get in, get the profit, get out, right? I never get too aggressive on weekly options. It's all about just kind of, I'm not going to say scalping, but you want to be out before any potential reversal can happen. That's always how I look at weekly options, because they can be very risky, right? You could have a $10 stock and you get an $11 strike on call option for Friday, and the stock can go up to $10.99. The stock can go up 10% pretty much. and your options lose all their value because you were 1 cent off. So that's why with weekly options, you know, they can make you money pretty quickly, but this is not financial advice. You gotta have some sort of plan to take profit, and also a plan to get out if things don't work in your favor, right? So yeah, the Clover trade today was great. We'll look at it again tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I know I missed a lot of chats. Neutron Flux Labs dropped a lot of chats. I'll read them right now. Neutron says, you must have the pullback to get the leg down. The bounce up, this completes harmonics and sets up levels for big moves up. Yeah, you can't get a major harmonic pattern without a... You can't get a major bullish harmonic pattern without a deep retrace, right? So yeah. You gotta learn how to play on the way down. Like literally on Clover, premium members, how many... And there have been failed ones. We had a failed one last week. But how many times over here did we make crazy profits on Clover? Literally on red days, we made like 150% gains on Clover. Just day trading the technicals on low time frames. It was amazing. And until it was not, until it dropped for 5 days in a row. But even today we made profit on it. So it's like, you got to know what you're doing when it comes to trading technicals. A lot of people just you know, they hate on technicals because they never learned it the right way. So they're basically, you know, doing something completely wrong, and then it doesn't work out. I mean, go figure why it doesn't work out. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always try and, you know, focus on education over everything else, because there's a lot of other people with much larger platforms than me that just spread BS to grow their platforms even more. Yeah, I never drink anything but tea on the stream. And water sometimes. Max says another FOMO trade today, another loss. When will I learn? You know, FOMO always gets the best of everyone. You know, I definitely still have FOMO to this day. I mean, I've definitely gotten a lot better than I used to be. But FOMO affects everybody. You know, it's psychology. So to a certain extent, it's always going to be a little bit of an issue, but you have to decrease it as much as possible, because FOMO is the easiest way to lose a lot of money, in my opinion. I mean, you could also lose a lot of money trying to catch falling knives, but chasing and chasing and chasing, especially as like a short-term trader, historically, you can look at the statistics. Most people who do that blow up their accounts. So yeah, I mean, the main thing you got to focus on, like, again, like the second half of May and all of June was amazing for a lot of retail traders. But I can definitely bet you, I'm not actually betting anything, but I'm saying, like, I bet that a lot of people who made insane gains, you know, in May and June gave back probably a lot of those gains in the past 4 days alone, and probably even some more for some traders who don't have stop loss experience, right? And the last 4 days have not been good for me. You know, I'm not saying, oh my gosh, I've been crushing the market. Like, no, the last 4 days have been a little bit rough for me. But again, you know, comparing it to what all of May and June was like, it's all you gotta do is just focus on making higher lows, right? Your account's not gonna close at an all-time high every single day forever. You know, no matter how, I don't even care if you have a 99% win rate. It's just when it comes to trades, there's gonna be times you lose, and you just gotta learn to let the winners overweigh the losers. And I teach a lot of things like that in the course on my channel, which is free to everybody to watch. KTF says cash account helps lessen your FOMO trades. I think also splitting up, I was talking about this earlier in the premium chats, but I think splitting up accounts is very important. Having, you know, a long-term account, having a swing trade account, having a YOLO account with like a little bit of money. Again, that's not financial advice, but I've talked to a lot of people who, you know, who say that really helped them, right? So I'm not telling you to do it, but I know a lot of people who that's helped out a ton. Like myself, that definitely did help me out when I split up a lot of my accounts. Max says, you never trade common stocks as day trades, only options. 95% of the time, if I'm doing day trade, I trade options. That used to be the other way around. Like back in probably like probably all of last year when I was doing day trades, it was only stocks and not options, and I would actually swing trade options. Now I'd probably say I mainly day trade options and then swing trade equity. What else? This is a really good chat right now. Usually we'd be getting into the ticker requests by right now, but I'm really having a good time with the chat. There's a lot of great messages. And again, like, we don't have to do ticker requests for 90% of the stream. If you just want to talk about trading and ask me questions, that also makes me very happy. So it's a vibe right now, you know? Brent says, have lots of patience during the pullbacks. Don't be tempted to buy because of perceived value, because you can be proven wrong and end up holding the bag or taking losses. Absolutely. For sure. Neutron says, Cham should speak on it, but what I see is underlying on swings, options on weeklies, or intraday options. Yeah, definitely. I even tried, like, if you remember, like, what was it, last week or the week before on stream, I was talking about you know, potentially getting into longer term options and testing out different types of strategies. And I created like a 20 ticker watch list that I didn't share with anybody about like my 20 favorite stocks. And then I got into them for a few days, but then I started getting out of them. And then speculation money just went out the door. So I'm still, you know, again, I'm thinking now that if we get like, you know, the same type of setup that we had back in the beginning of May, where all the growth stocks are showing huge harmonic patterns with divergence that supports, then maybe I'll try out that longer term options strategy. But for right now, I still think there could be some more risk, especially in the short term. Brent Lee, thank you for the $10 donation. Let's get some vibes in the chat for Brent. Drop the word vibes in the chat. Shout out Brent, appreciate it. First tip of the stream. Hope you're doing well, Brent. I'm not doing ticker requests just yet for everybody requesting tickers in the chat. Right now I'm just talking with the chat. But you're gonna do ticker requests in probably 5-10 minutes. We got vibes in the chat coming in from Shelby, Neutron Flux Labs, Sunny, Medic Vibe, and Joe, and Miss Boko, Trader, and Scrooge, and Shelby again. Let's go. Let's see what other chats I missed. Sunny says, if you were to put on an options day trade or whatever, and we bought it with common stocks, would it still be a successful trade if that makes sense, like enough profits? Neutron already kind of answered that for me. Yeah, it depends on, you know, your account size, the amount of capital you're trading with, and then also there's certain factors that change things, right? You know, it could increase risk. I'm saying the options can increase risk compared to just actual equity, but they can also increase your potential reward. So I think it just comes down to the one word, which is just leverage. It just gives you leverage, which is, again, good and bad. And if you don't know what you're doing, definitely bad. Do not be just trading options without understanding them and without having, like, don't be getting into full-size options trades until you fully understand them. Like, literally just do, like, again, not financial advice. Like, what I found help with was just doing like one contract options until I really started seeing a pretty decent win rate. And then I started, you know, putting on bigger sizes. But still, most options, if you just get regular calls or regular puts, most options always have a risk of losing their full value, especially if they're out of the money, or most of their value if they're in the money, if, you know, just time decay and the underlying asset goes down. So you gotta have you have to have a plan. You know, trading without a plan is gambling, in my opinion. Worst correction you could see coming? Not really an easy question to answer. I don't know why my computer just did that. Not really an easy. I don't like, you know, a lot of people, especially on Twitter, ask me, where do you think Fisker is going to be in 2 months? A lot of people ask me, should I buy this stock when it drops 30% from here, because I think it's going to drop 30%. A lot of people, you know, I don't really do that. I say it all the time, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what the future is. I take it day by day. You know, things can change within an hour. You could have some crazy news come out and the whole market crashes. It's always possible. Every single day it's possible for the market to crash, right? Does it happen every day? No. But you always have to have some sort of a plan. And for me, it's just like, I don't care about what the price is. I care about what like the actual technicals look like at a said price. I care about what the news around the stock looks like. So I don't really do like, you know, crazy far out predictions like saying the S&P is going to go to 5,000 by next month. That's not really like what I do. You know, what I do is look at probability, and I just take it day by day, and things change and I adapt, right? That's kind of how I look at things. To try and answer your question, which was pretty much worst correction you could see, I mean, in terms of like just any pullback, I think the first area I'd be looking at on the S&P 500 is probably about a 3% pullback before getting a nice bounce. I think it would be if we had some sort of negative catalyst or just natural decreases in price, I think we could drop back down to 42.40 pretty easily. I mean, we kind of ran up here on pretty low volume without any major catalyst. So it was just kind of like algos and technicals and large caps running that just dragged up the indices. So I think we could, you know, pull back to that pretty easily if that happened. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm saying it could happen, and it could be pretty quick if there's a certain reason for it to happen, which I don't know. But that's like the next bigger area I see for the S&P 500, previous all-time high and resistance like twice. But again, it could blow right through that level and then come down to the next one. I just take it level by level, day by day. I don't, you know, I don't worry too much about all the 3,000 potential scenarios. I just look at probability. We're going to do take requests in a few minutes. I'm still just talking with the chat for right now. Don't get to do this too often. Usually it's just I start off the streams, go over everything I want to go over, and then we just do take requests. I actually really do enjoy just getting to know everybody and just answering questions and talking about stocks. Thank you for the 33 likes. Keep hitting that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got Print in the chat. How you doing, Print? Okay, it's already covering it. All right, appreciate that, Sonny. I think that's most of the chats. I try to answer as many as I could. All right, thank you for the 35 likes. All right, so Killaroo has asked like 3 or 4 times for Fibonacci on Fisker. So you want Fibonacci to the downside because it's now pulling back. So the way you do it is you look for swing highs and swing lows, right? So if we go over to this example chart I have, these red circles up here are swing highs. These orange circles down here are swing lows. A swing high pretty much means the highest price you go back up to before a reversal. Swing low is the lowest price you go down to before a reversal. The way to confirm them is with, again, Fibonacci. Let's say you want to confirm that this is an actual swing low. You go from your previous swing high down to your swing low, and once it crosses the 23% retrace is your confirmation that this was a swing low, and then vice versa. If you have a swing high and you start pulling back, you want to confirm that this was your swing high. You go from your previous low up to your high, drag it over, and once it breaches the 23.6% retrace is when that's a confirmed swing high. So now you were asking me for the levels on Fisker. We're going to go to our previous swing low, which was down here pretty much on the daily. We're going to start out our Fibonacci there. Then we're going to come up to our current swing high, which is right up here, the highest price you got to in the recent times. And you did cross the 23% retrace, so that is a confirmed swing high. So your Fibonacci levels on Fisker: 382 is 1634. The 50% retrace is 15 bucks. 618 is 1373. The 786 is 1184. Those are your fib levels. Let me scroll back down. All right, so I'm going to do 1 round of ticker requests tonight. If you want to request a ticker, drop it in the chat right now. Don't request anything that was up over 30% today, and don't request anything that IPO'd within the last 2 or 3 weeks. I need something with data and consistency to look at. Nothing I say is financial advice. I am going to be wrong. It's just opinions. I can't be right on every single chart I talk about. It's all just probability. And if I skip your chart, don't get mad about it. you literally have the opportunity to request a ticker every single night on the stream, so it's all good. You know, I can't get to every single ticker, and sometimes I just, you know, there's not much. You know, probably on most charts, it's probably just going to be me saying it's at a make or break area. It could go either way because that's just how technicals work. You're not always going to have a bullish reading or a bearish reading. A lot of times you're just going to have a neutral reading. So yeah, this is not fortune telling. It's just probability. We'll see if we can find some probability right now. All right, we're going to start off with coin from Tim. And let me drop all these in the chat. I'm gonna try and keep it to 1 ticker per person for right now. We already looked over ALLO. It'll be in the timestamps after the stream is over. The important area on ALLO is $25. I really want to see it get back above that. Where is it? Yeah, 25 is the level I want to see ALLO reclaim. We're gonna start off with Coinbase. It could be breaking out right now. It's really the biggest level on the Coinbase chart. $250. Wasn't 250 the initial IPO set price? I think it was. I don't know if it was 350 though. I don't think it was. It might have been. I don't know. Regardless, 250 was your low on May 6th, my birthday. It was your low on May 13th. It was your resistance for 2 days on the 17th and the 18th. You showed some resistance there at the end of June, and then today you're trying to close above it again. I probably would want to see multiple days closing above this level for more confirmation because you already did have a fake out. If you can truly break this level, I'd say your next level would be 282. Let's go. That's the first time I've heard that sound in a while. Let's go. Let's get vibes in the chat for Neutron Flux Labs. Oh my gosh, you got the jacket too? Wow. That's the first person, I think, to ever buy that jacket. Whoa, that just took me by surprise. I need 100 vibes in the chat right now for Neutron Flux Labs, which I believe is the first person to ever get that piece of merch, and also the first person to get merch in a few maybe weeks. I think there was one person like a week ago or something, but let me read the message. Neutron Flux Labs says, gotta get a shell for when the TA pays and rains cash on me the rest of this week and into next, hopefully so. Thanks for keeping the TA and education coming, champ. Vibes for this community, killing it every day. Let's go. Thank you very, very much, Neutron Flux Labs, for getting that piece of merch. Yeah, we do have merch. I don't talk about it too much on the stream. I used to talk about it a lot more, but we do have merch. It's awesome to see merch buyers. You know, back in like January, we were probably getting like 3 or 4 pieces of merch bought like every single stream. Now it's probably like 3 or 4 a month, which is fine. Again, you know, that's not something I'm going to be weird about, but I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much. And also it's super cool because not only are you helping to support me, you also get something pretty cool from it. So enjoy the jacket. Shout out to Neutron Flux Labs for everything you do. Appreciate it very much. Vibes in the chat right now. Let's go. All right, back to Coinbase 282. It was your low on April 23rd. It was like a 2-day resistance on May 13th and 14th. So that would be your next level. In terms of support, that's kind of weird. I mean, in terms of support, you'd probably just want to hold above this low. You had like a bullish pin bar actually this morning. So you probably just want to hold over today's low. You don't want to break under today's low. Today was a pretty good day. It was up 7%. You definitely want to hold today's gains. All right, next one is talk. I don't know. This thing is at all-time lows, which means there's no horizontal support. It probably blew past every single potential PCZ. I mean, maybe not. I hate the 0.7 retrace, but we'll see. I'm just gonna look at it like this. All right, let's see. Has it passed everything? No. Okay. So in terms of Fibonacci levels, you broke the 2618, the 3618's at 523. I mean, I don't even know if that matters. I don't know why this thing is dumping like it is. It's just something that, you know, if something's going straight down or straight up, 9 out of 10 times, I'm just gonna move on. You know, there's not much of a support or a pattern or divergence. It is definitely oversold, but it has been more oversold before. I could see it going either way. You know, there's not much I can do there, unfortunately. From a technical standpoint, NEO dropped 8% today. Not surprised. Again, speculation money going down in the past 4 days. It held 46 at the close. That was your previous high from the beginning of March. And it was a little bit of a resistance in the middle of June. You broke it and then you ran up to like 55, almost got to 57. Now you're pulling back. You just want to hold above 46. If you can't hold above 46, your next support is the 200-day moving average at 42.33. If you can hold this support, your next resistance is like last week's highs at like 55. IBM. This 136 level was pretty much your resistance from all of the COVID crash until you broke it in April of this year. So staying above 136 is very important. Not really a historical area, but definitely an important area from the last year. Looks like it almost came down to that area yesterday, and then also almost made a bullish pin bar. I don't know if that's textbook. The body looks a little bit too big to me, but today, okay, got a little bit of classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour developing right now. RSI was oversold. It's not currently oversold on the 4-hour. Maybe it was kind of like an inverse, a regular head and shoulders, and it just it broke out and then it dumped. You know, something like this. So inverse head and shoulders, broke the neckline, pulled back. You just want to hold above 136. Let's see. All right, so I think we're probably gonna cut it for right now. Don't drop any more tickers in the chat. Zach said Ethereum, that'll probably be the last one. If I get to that one and I still have more energy, maybe I'll do a second round, but for right now, don't drop any more tickers in the chat. So I still have a lot to go over. ENG hit the really scuffed bullish bat, but got down to a deep retrace, started making higher highs and higher lows. For any hopes of hitting bullish divergence, it needs to pivot like very, very soon. It's possible, but you need to make a higher low than 253. And your MACD needs to start developing and start going back towards green. On the daily, you do have hidden bearish divergence on the daily, so that's your contradiction. You made a lower high on price with a higher high on your MACD, so that implies a continuation of the long-term downtrend. We'll see if it does play out. No, you didn't get on your RSI, but it's there. You just want to, even 264 is kind of an important level. It was your low from December of last year. It was your candle high on November 25th of last year. That was pretty much it. IVR, still at the make or break area. You know, it's still around the 200-day moving average, around the 352 level. It is a little bit under it. And then also still kind of at this long-term demand line. This is a make or break area for IVR. I mean, if it breaks under 335, it could get pretty ugly in my opinion. So you want to stay over 335 no matter what. If you can eventually start getting some life on this, I mean, this thing has been down for 6 days in a row now. Hopefully it can have a green day at some point. There is a gap fill to 386. And for hidden bullish divergence, you need to probably bounce like tomorrow, because you don't have much more room until that's invalidated. Yeah, we'll look at Boeing, Neutron Flux Labs. DGLY. 1 second. As Brent. Oh, I'm so sorry, Brent. I really hope you're still in the stream. We're gonna look at the VIX right after DGLY. You tipped $10 earlier and you dropped the VIX in the chat. I'm gonna take a look at the VIX right after DGLY. Apologies for that. And then we'll look at Boeing for Neutron Flux Labs, and then we'll continue on with the rest. All right, so let me just do DGLY first, and we'll look at both of those. We had a couple nice day trades on DGLY, like back in like December or something. I'm sure some people might remember them. They were very crazy. Like literally one of them with like, I put out like a swing trade ID on it, and like half an hour later, they had like an insane call sweep on it, and it just went up like 15%. It was crazy. I think like news came out like later that day or something. I can't exactly remember. We day traded it a couple times last year. That's where I remember this one from, but it really got hit in the middle of February, like a lot of other similar small caps. Still kind of struggling to do much. 158 is your support. On the 4 hour, I don't know. I don't really see much here other than that support level. I don't really see a pattern or any divergence that's developing. You just want to hold above 158. That's really what I see here. If you can't hold above it, your resistance is probably around 208 from this high and the candle high on June 10th. All right, so we're gonna do the VIX first for Brent. Hopefully he's still in the stream. So VIX, it spiked again today. I think what we've also been seeing, I think both yesterday and today, we saw a pullback in the morning for the stock market indices. Today, was this today? Yeah, so today we had a bad open on tech stocks, and then again it recovered in the afternoon. So both yesterday and today, what we've basically had for the major indices, or for tech and the NASDAQ, not really the Russell, is you have like a morning pullback and then an afternoon rally. That's so far what's happened this week. We'll see what happens again tomorrow or not. Not really technical, it's just what the pattern is right now. And that's been moving around the VIX a little bit. If we take a look at the VIX, it's it's having the intraday spike, which is probably from the morning, and then in the afternoon it pulled back. It's still just in a pretty relatively choppy area. This 16.2 area, it was your support back in the beginning of April before a major spike. And then it was actually the level you were pretty much at right before the COVID crash. So you are now back above it. I think this was the second time you've closed above it now this week. So yeah, you were struggling to close above the 16.2 area for like the past week. And then today, or yesterday and today, it did close above it, which is a little bit of concern. You do also have triple classic bullish divergence on the daily. We've seen this play out before. Remember when we had classic bullish divergence right over here? It confirmed right over there. And the VIX went up 65% roughly. And that was a pretty rough pullback for a lot of stocks in the beginning of May. So we are showing the classic bullish divergence again on the VIX. That is a little bit concerning. Other than that, I don't really see much of a pattern. It's very, choppy, obviously. Maybe a little bit of like a downsloping demand line though could be forming, something like that, instead of just looking like the horizontal areas. I don't know if I'd call it a falling wedge though, because there's like a lot of unfilled space in it. But yeah, that's the VIX. Thank you again for the $10 tip earlier, Brent. Really appreciate it. Now we're gonna look at Boeing for Neutron Flux Labs. It's on the watch list for tomorrow. I don't know if he wants me to say his name or not, but a premium member asked me about it earlier in the chat today. And I think, it still has a little bit more of confirmation that I would like to see, but it looks really interesting. So Boeing closed right at a demand line today of a triangle pattern, pretty neutral pattern, but it's at the demand line where it has bounced at it twice before. So if it can just literally hold 231, this could be a potential bounce area. There is a gap fill to the upside at 248. And then on the 4 hour, classic bullish divergence is possible, but the MACD needs to start waning. It's not really losing negative momentum just yet. So the way I'm looking at Boeing is like, if we can get a bounce, then you can get the divergence, which can kind of create like a cycle. The only question is, there's no way to know if we're going to see a bounce tomorrow. So Boeing's on my watch list tomorrow for a potential day trade. If we have a nice open on Boeing and it holds above that demand line and the 4 hour classic bullish divergence starts developing, I'm not even going to say a day trade, like maybe like a short-term swing trade, if that makes sense, because that's 4 hour divergence. It's a higher time frame. and that would be good. And then also on the 1 hour, you have the classic bullish divergence pretty almost confirmed. So yeah, I don't know if we're going to get the bounce here on Boeing, but if we do, then I think it would be pretty easy to manage risk, because then you could just have a stop loss under today's low, or just a couple percent under that demand line. So yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Definitely, you know, with airlines, you always want to be extra caught up with the news, because there always seems to be something going on with the airlines in the news. The playlist finished, so I started playing random songs. But yeah, that's Boeing. Thank you again, Neutron Flux Labs, for getting the jacket. Really appreciate it. Oh, you. All right, 1 second. I just got like confused there. I don't know why. Yeah, definitely. I'm really not caught up with what's going on with the airlines, so I probably want to look a little bit more into that. Yeah, you got it for sure. Thank you again. So we got like 5 more tickers, and we'll see what happens after that. CLF got pretty close to the main line of this upsloping channel today. Bounced at it. It was up today. 4 hour, I would like to see the MACD just go right back over to green. I mean, it confirmed hidden bullish divergence, and then this thing pulled back with a lot of other names, and kind of, you know, it's still okay. You just got to stay above that demand line. So still a potentially low risk, high reward area as long as it holds this demand line. That's really it for CLF. Maybe even like a little bit of horizontal support here at $20.50 from this low and this low. And I'm sure on the 1 hour, it might be kind of not really looking like a double bottom, but we'll see what happens. REV, hidden bullish divergence on the daily is possible. It's already developing. On the MACD, on the daily, it's just probably like a little bit of a downsloping channel. Maybe like that, pretty simple. I don't think it's at a major level or anything right now. On the 4 hour, you do have confirmed hidden bullish divergence. So yeah, as long as it can hold above the lows from yesterday, which is like 1224, it could break out pretty easily, and then your next resistance would probably you have a little bit of a resistance at like 1350 from this high and this high, and then after that you got probably $14 from like a couple highs over here, and then it was a support back in August of 2019. So that's REV. Palantir was a pretty good trade, if I do say so myself. The entry was pretty good. The entry was like literally, it was only like 8% above like the lowest level Palantir saw this whole entire year. So almost caught the yearly lows on Palantir when I put out this trade. And then the second target was pretty much where it locally topped out. And I put that second target out when it was over here. So I had no clue that I was going to get there. I think I just went for the 786. So, you know, this is like a perfect example of technical analysis, right? You see variables on a chart, you take along with proper risk management, you set take profit levels based on resistances and Fibonacci. And at those take profit levels, you could see resistance and pullbacks, and that's what you saw in Palantir. You also had daily, you actually had 4 hour classic bearish divergence. So yeah, short term it's pulling back. To be fair, a lot of other speculation names or newer companies are pulling back in the last 4 days. So it's just doing what probably the rest of this sector is doing. It did break the 2420 level today, gap down, that's not good. It's kind of in the middle of support and resistance. Your resistance now is 2420. It was your support for like a day, you broke it. And if you cannot break back over that 24.2 level, your next major support on the daily is $21 from this low and this low. That's really it for Palantir. Apple,